All right, welcome to this video. My name is Clay Edwards. This is the Save Jackson YouTube channel. If you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button so you can get an update, and the bell also so you can get an update every time we do a new video. And hey, look, if you like this video, please hit like and share. It will help this channel out a lot. We're trying to grow the channel. Something that has come up here lately that has been a very hot button topic here in Mississippi. I'm based out of Brandon, Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, central Mississippi area. And this has been prevalent in my entire adult life, or really my entire life. But as an adult, you tend to pay more attention to these type things. And that is the Emmett Till murder case or lynching case. Well, here lately, and look, I'm not going to give you too much of a history lesson on who Emmett Till is. We will say this here. I'm going to read one little verse of it. This is on the Wikipedia, just to bring anybody up to date. This is Emmett Till was murdered on August 28, 1955, a 14-year-old African-American boy who was abducted, tortured, and lynched in Mississippi in 1955 after being accused of offending a white woman in her family's grocery store. The brutality of his murder, and the fact that the killers were acquitted drew attention to the long history of violent persecution of African Americans in the United States. Till posthumously became an icon of the civil rights movement. Till was born and raised in Chicago. During a summer vacation in August of 1955, he was visiting relatives near Money, Mississippi, in the Mississippi Delta region. He spoke to a 21-year-old Carol Bryant, the white married proprietor of a small grocery store there. Although what happened at the store is a matter of dispute, Till was accused of flirting with or whistling at Bryant. Till's interaction with Bryant, perhaps unwittingly, violated the unwritten code of behavior for a black male interacting with a white female in the Jim Crow era South. Several nights after the incident in the store, Bryant's husband, Roy, and his and his half-brother, J.W. Milam, who were armed, went to Till's great uncle's house and abducted Emmett. They took him away, beat him, and mutilated him before shooting him in the head and sinking his body in the Tallahatchie River. 3 days later, the boy's mutilated and bloated body was discovered and retrieved from the river. Till's body went on to Chicago. They had an open casket funeral attended by over 10,000 people. A couple years later, there was a trial, and both men were found not guilty. Therefore, in September of 1955, an all-white jury acquitted Bryant and Milam not guilty of Till's murder. Protected against the double jeopardy, the two men publicly admitted in a 1956 interview with Look magazine that they had tortured and murdered the boy, selling the story of how they did it for $4,000. Till's murder was seen as a catalyst for the next phase of the civil rights movement. So that kind of brings you up to speed on what happened. Of course, most of you know that. If you clicked to watch this video, you know the Emmett Till story. But hey, it's good to revisit it every now and then. You can go to the Wikipedia and get yourself caught up to date if you want all the details of it. But here lately, it's been a lot going on. They have recently discovered an arrest warrant for
more than 60 years since 14.
Sorry about that. They recently discovered an arrest warrant for Carol Bryant in the basement of the Leflore County courthouse in Greenwood, Mississippi. And basically, the gist of it says that she would have been the third person on trial for the kidnapping of Emmett Till. Here's a story. This is about 2 minutes and 28 seconds from our local news channel, WLBT, here in Jackson, Mississippi, kind of bringing you up to speed.
18-year-old Emmett Till was brutally murdered in Money, Mississippi, after a white woman. It's the civil rights movement. Now the calls for justice in the case grow louder tonight in Jackson after an unserved arrest warrant is found. Patrice Clark speaks with Till's cousin, who says she and her family will not rest until justice is served.
You see all the things that were done to his body, and you don't think that affects not only our family, but people.
Emmett Till's cousin, Priscilla Sterling, filled with emotion and tears as she talked about how the 14-year-old was beaten and killed in Money, Mississippi back in 1955 after Carolyn Bryant Dunham accused him of whistling at her. Her husband at the time, Roy Bryant, and his half-brother, J.W. Milam, were arrested and later acquitted in this case. Now, 67 years later, an unserved arrest warrant for Dunham was recently found in the basement of the Leflore County courthouse in Greenwood.
I was actually called to come and meet them that morning, and I had to work teacher and doing summer program. But they called here, they got here, Keith Beauchamp, my cousin Deborah Watts, and her daughter and son-in-law. They got here that morning, and it took them an hour and a half to find the warrant.
Till's cousin believes the discovery of this warrant serves as new evidence in this case. In fact, Sterling says her family wants the district attorney for the Fourth Circuit Court District of Mississippi, Dwayne Richardson, to serve the warrant because they want Dunham, who is now in her 80s, arrested. She now lives in North Carolina. The family is also calling on the Justice Department to reopen this case. Last year, they officially closed the investigation into Till's murder.
You cannot ignore this. That's the reason why the warrant needs to be served. It'll help create change. And if this is what needs to do for us to change our mindset, our behaviors and attitudes in this society, then this would do it. This would do it. At least bring her to trial. At least bring her to trial.
Clark.
So here's what I'm of is, do you believe that she should be brought to trial? Should Carol Bryant be brought to trial now, 67 years later? If she was going to be the third person in the trial with the other two men, her ex-husband, and I guess it's an ex, maybe he died while they were married, whatever, her former husband and his half-brother. If she was going to be the third person, they were found innocent. Would she have not been found innocent by default? They say that the warrant wasn't served because she was a mother of some young children. So they just kind of hid the warrant. What do you think? Should it be? My opinion is this. Yes and no. I'm removing race completely from it. If Emmett Till was a family member of mine, I would absolutely say yes, because I would want 100% closure. But all this time later, and considering the fact that the other men were found not guilty, is she going to be the only one found guilty now? I'm just not sure legally how that works. And does it really do anything? Do you get any real closure by finding her guilty? I asked this question on my Save Jackson Instagram page. I've got it pulled up. Let me pull the screen back up, you guys. So my Instagram page has a lot of African-American followers. So I thought it was a relevant question for there. Just plain and simple. Do you think the trial should be reopened? Nearly said. A lot of white people replied to this too. And I think we all typically on the same page. I do. Yes. Again, from a personal family closure standpoint, I say yes. From a legal standpoint, I wonder if it's worth it just from a time involved and money involved legal standpoint. Is it worth it? I would probably say no from that perspective, but from a family closure standpoint, I believe yes. And so a lot of people say yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And Walt brings up a good point here. He goes, they just charged the oldest living Nazi party member with accessory to over 1,500 murders. Don't see the difference here besides the fact the Democrat Party founded the KKK and are running the Department of Justice. Same Department of Justice that sealed the client list of Epstein and Maxwell. So the public wouldn't know who of the rich and powerful government officials, CEOs, and royals purchasing sex slaves. They only care when it's their kinfolk to cover up. They don't care about us more than vote in November. Correct. And to that point, why I read that wasn't so much for the KKK stuff as the Nazi Germany stuff. If they're still charging Nazis, you can make an argument that the civil rights era in Mississippi or in the South was as ugly as far as on our soil as the stuff the Nazis did to the Jews. You can make that argument. One of the greatest atrocities in the world. Look, And I know for some reason, we catch the blame for all that when it was clearly Democrats that were doing it. And they haven't changed. Democrats still Democrats. They are still Klansmen, racist Democrats. And I stand with my black friends. Another yes. Says if they're still charging 100-year-old Nazis, then why not? I mean, if she did anything wrong, I don't know. Shantae says yes. Shantae also says this. She goes, they did have a warrant for her arrest. She was never served with it, but y'all know Phil is not going to let his aunt do any time. She's replying. She's not replying. She's Reverend Phil Bryant, former governor here in Mississippi. And, you know, I've heard that rumor that they were cousins. I've never really looked into it because, frankly, I didn't care. But fast forward to now, it is more interesting. I may have to look into that. But overwhelmingly, everybody says yes. White, black, everybody. Of course, people here cannot stand me on this page. They're like, you must not agree with her being charged. Let's see what the comment is. Right. On God, the fuck, just like Bill Cosby, goofy, she, blah, blah, blah. Good Lord. Anyway, point being, I think overwhelmingly people believe that the Carol Bryant should be charged or at least brought to trial, serve the warrant. There is no deal in Mississippi where, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess I should have done a little more show prep here. You know, where they can't bring it to trial after a certain time. You can bring a murder trial up anytime at kidnapping too. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. You have a very Democrat, liberal Department of Justice. You've got Joe Biden in office, which I keep telling you, Joe Biden hates black people. So if you're counting on Joe Biden and the Democrats to bring a 70-year-old civil rights trial to court, we'll see. I wouldn't hold my breath. So look, that's today's video. We're going to discuss this on the radio Monday morning on 103.9 WYAB. That will be July 11th. I'm filming this on July 9th. So July 11th, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 103.9 WYAB, WYAB.com, or on the TuneIn app. We stream worldwide live. And then it will be available on the Clay Edwards Show podcast. And I will upload the audio here to YouTube, Rumble, and BitChute. Also, if you would, please subscribe to this channel, hit like, leave your comments down below. Do you think Carol Bryant should be charged? I'd like to know what you think. If not, explain why. If so, explain why. I'm interested in all this. I'm interested to see where Mississippians stand on this in 2022. This is a modern day version of the Edgar Ray killing stuff being brought back up after all those years. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I will see you guys on the next video. Stay safe.